I'm Cora, 31 years old, and last week my doorbell camera recorded something I never thought I'd see. My parents stood on my porch. Mom was practicing how to cry. Dad was mumbling, "We miss you, sweetheart," like he was memorizing lines for a school play. And my sister Melanie stood beside them, correcting their every move like a director on a Broadway set. "Mom, the tears need to come before you say sorry. Dad, don't cross your arms. It looks insincere." They rehearsed 6 times before ringing the bell. They didn't know my Ring camera records everything, including the 12 minutes before anyone presses the button. I watched the playback twice. Then I opened the door, smiling. What I said next made all 3 of them freeze. Before I continue, if you find this story worth hearing, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to know what happens next. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Now let me take you back 8 months, to the day I discovered $12,000 had vanished from the account I'd set up for my grandmother. Growing up, I was always the easy one. Melanie got the bigger bedroom because she was older. I understood. Melanie got the new clothes while I wore hand-me-downs. I understood. Melanie got sent to a private university while I went to community college because the family's finances are tight right now, sweetie. You understand, don't you? I always understood. Mom had this phrase she used whenever I tried to push back. "Why are you being so selfish? Your sister needs this more than you do." That sentence became the soundtrack of my childhood. I became a nurse, worked my way up to the ICU at Providence Portland Medical Center. Stable income, good benefits, a job I genuinely loved. But somehow, that stability made me the family ATM. "Cora, Melanie's between jobs. Can you help her with rent this month?" "Cora, your sister's car broke down. She needs it for work." "Cora, we're a little short, just until next month." I kept a running total once, out of curiosity. Over 5 years, I'd loaned my family $34,000. Not a single dollar ever came back. I told myself it was fine. Family helps family. That's what good daughters do. But here's the thing about being the understanding one. People stop asking if you're okay. They just assume you are. They assume you'll always say yes. They assume your needs don't exist. And when you finally say no, that's when you become the selfish one. That's when you become the problem. I didn't know it yet, but Melanie had been counting on my inability to say no for years. And when I finally stopped playing along, she didn't just get angry. She got strategic. 2 years ago, Grandma Eleanor's health started declining. She had Medicare, but the coverage gaps were brutal. Specialist visits, medications, physical therapy, the bills added up fast. I suggested setting up a joint savings account, me and Melanie contributing together to help cover Grandma's expenses. A family effort. "Great idea," Melanie said. "We'll both put in what we can." I deposited $500 every month, like clockwork. For 2 years, $12,000. One evening, I logged in to check the balance before Grandma's cardiology appointment. $847. I stared at the screen, refreshed the page, checked again. $847. My hands were shaking when I called Melanie. "Oh, that," she said, her voice breezy. "I moved it into an investment opportunity. Real estate. It'll double in 6 months, I promise." "You took money meant for Grandma's medical care?" "I didn't take it, I invested it. God, Cora, don't be so dramatic." I drove to my parents' house that night. I thought they'd be horrified. I thought they'd demand Melanie return the money. Instead, Mom looked at me with that familiar disappointment. "Why are you trying to embarrass your sister in front of the family? She stole from Grandma's medical fund. She made a business decision. You're overreacting." Dad sat in his armchair silent. He wouldn't even look at me. I left that night knowing something had fundamentally broken. Not just my trust in Melanie, but my belief that my parents would ever choose me. I blocked all 3 of their numbers the next morning. 8 months of silence. 8 months of peace. Until 3 weeks ago, when someone rang my doorbell. Those 8 months were the first time I'd slept through the night since I was 18. I rented a small apartment in the Alberta Arts District. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with a tiny balcony where I kept my plants, pothos, snake plants, a fiddle leaf fig I was determined not to kill. My coworkers noticed the change. "You seem lighter," my friend Priya said during a night shift. "Like someone took a weight off your shoulders." She wasn't wrong. No more Sunday dinners where Melanie's accomplishments were celebrated while mine were ignored. No more quick favors that cost me hundreds of dollars. No more being the family doormat. I installed a Ring camera when I moved in. Just for safety. A woman living alone, you know how it is. I liked being able to see who was at my door before opening it. The only person I truly missed was Grandma. I tried calling her a few times, but Melanie was always coincidentally there. "Oh, Grandma's napping. She's not feeling well today. I'll tell her you called." Grandma never called back. I suspected she never got my messages. Her 75th birthday was coming up, October 15th. I'd been counting the days, trying to figure out how to see her without walking into Melanie's orbit. Then I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Cora, sweetheart, it's Grandma, using the neighbor's phone. My 75th birthday party is October 15th. I want you there. I have something important to tell the family. Please come. I love you." I read that message 12 times. She wanted me there, but I knew Melanie would be there too. I hadn't decided what to do when, 3 days later, my doorbell rang. The notification popped up on my phone. "Motion detected at front door." I opened the Ring app, expecting a delivery driver or a neighbor's lost dog. What I saw made my stomach drop. Mom, Dad, Melanie, standing on my porch. My first instinct was to pretend I wasn't home. Let them ring the bell, wait, leave. Simple. But something made me keep watching. They weren't ringing the bell, they were just standing there, talking. I turned up the volume. "Need to look genuinely sorry," Melanie was saying. She had her phone out, checking something on the screen. "Mom, practice the tears again." Mom dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "Like this? More natural. Don't wipe so fast. Let them fall." Dad cleared his throat. "What was my line again?" "We miss you, sweetheart. Please come home." Melanie's voice was clinical, directing. "Say it slower, more emotion." Dad tried again. "We miss you, sweetheart. Please. Come home." "Better. But unfold your arms. You look defensive." I watched this for 12 minutes. 12 minutes of my mother practicing how to cry, my father memorizing his lines, my sister correcting their timing, their expressions, their body language. "Remember," Melanie said finally, "the goal is to get her to Grandma's birthday. We don't actually have to mean it, we just need her to think we're sorry." Mom nodded. "Got it." Dad nodded. "Got it." Melanie smiled. "Perfect. Now ring the bell." I saved the video, backed it up to the cloud. Then I sat on my couch, heart pounding, and made a decision. I was going to answer that door, but not the way they expected. The doorbell rang. I gave myself 30 seconds, breathed in, breathed out, checked my reflection in the hallway mirror. Then I opened the door with a smile. Mom's performance started immediately. Her eyes welled up, right on cue. "Cora, baby, we've missed you so much." "Mom," I said calmly, "how many times did you practice that?" She froze mid-sob. Dad's rehearsed line died in his throat. Melanie's composure cracked for exactly half a second. I saw it, that flash of panic in her eyes, before she recovered. "What are you talking about?" I pointed to the small device mounted beside my door. "That's a Ring camera. It records 24/7. I paused. "Including the 12 minutes before you rang the bell." Silence. Mom's fake tears stopped instantly. Dad looked at the ground. Melanie's jaw tightened. "I watched the whole thing," I continued, keeping my voice steady. "The crying practice, the line memorization, The direction notes. I tilted my head. We don't actually have to mean it. We just need her to think we're sorry. That was you, wasn't it, Melanie? Melanie started. So here's my question. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. What do you actually want? Because clearly it's not reconciliation. Melanie recovered fast. I'll give her that. You're recording your own family? That's a violation of privacy? This is my property. I have every right to record my own front porch. You've changed, Cora. You've become so cold. I almost laughed. I've become someone who doesn't fall for performances anymore. There's a difference. Dad finally spoke, his voice weak. Your grandmother's 75th birthday is next week. She wants you there. I know, I said. She texted me. So you'll come? I looked at all three of them. I'll come. For Grandma. Not for you. Melanie's eyes narrowed. She wasn't used to losing control of a situation. If you're coming to the party, she said, we should arrive together. Show Grandma that the family is united. No. Cora. I'll arrive on my own. When the party starts. Not before. Mom stepped forward, her performance abandoned now, replaced by something sharper. You're being unreasonable. How will it look if you show up separately? People will ask questions. Then let them ask. Your grandmother is turning 75. This might be her last. Mom caught herself, recalibrated. This is important to her. She wants her family together. And I'll be there, just not on your terms. Melanie's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and something flickered across her face. Tension. Worry. I have to take this. She stepped away from the porch, turning her back to us. Tyler, I told you I'm handling it. No, she hasn't agreed yet. I know the deadline is... I couldn't hear the rest, but I heard enough. Deadline? When Melanie returned, her composure was thinner, cracks showing beneath the surface. What deadline? I asked. None of your business. Interesting, because you're standing on my porch, asking me for favors. Seems like some things are definitely my business. Mom jumped in quickly. Let's focus on the birthday, Saturday at Grandma's house, 2 o'clock. I'll be there at 2. And you won't cause any... scenes? I smiled, the same calm smile I'd given them when I opened the door. I'm not the one who stages scenes, Mom, remember? They left without another word. I watched them drive away, then went back inside and replayed the Ring video one more time. Something was going on with Melanie, something bigger than wanting me at a birthday party, and I was going to find out what. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was upset. I'd made peace with my family's dysfunction months ago, but Melanie's phone call kept replaying in my head. I'm handling it. The deadline. What deadline? For what? I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my old contacts until I found the one person in my family I still trusted, Aunt Diane, Mom's younger sister, a family law attorney with zero tolerance for nonsense. She picked up on the second ring. Cora, is everything okay? I'm fine, Aunt Diane, but I need to ask you something. I told her everything, the video, the rehearsed apology, Melanie's strange phone call. When I finished, Diane let out a long sigh. I wish I could say I was surprised. You're not? Honey, I've seen through Melanie since she was 16 and convinced your parents to buy her a car by crying about her depression. She's talented, I'll give her that. Do you know what's going on? Why they need me at the party so badly? A pause. Then, I've been meaning to call you. Your grandmother asked me about inheritance law last month. My breath caught. What? She's reconsidering some things, the house specifically. She didn't give me details, but... Diane hesitated. I think she's having doubts about certain family members. The house. Grandma's Victorian home in Laurelhurst. The one she'd lived in for 40 years, worth close to $800,000. Melanie's worried, I said slowly. That's why she needs me there. If Grandma sees the family united, She might not change anything, but if she senses conflict, she'll ask questions. Exactly. I thanked Diane and hung up. So that was it. Melanie wasn't trying to reconcile with me. She was trying to manage a narrative, and I'd just become a threat to her plan. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in 8 months. I opened our old family group chat. I'd left the group when I went no contact, but I hadn't deleted the history. Some part of me had known I might need it someday. I scrolled back through months of messages, past the birthday wishes I'd never received, past the holiday photos I wasn't in, until I found what I was looking for. Melanie to Mom, 6 months ago. If Cora asks for the money back, just tell her I'm going through a hard time. She won't push. Mom's response: she never does. That girl would give you her last dollar if you cried hard enough. Melanie: exactly. That's what makes her useful. Useful. I stared at that word until my vision blurred. I kept scrolling. More messages. More patterns. Just tell Cora it's for the family. She can't say no to that. Cora's too nice. She'll never actually cut us off. She's the easy one. Always has been. I screenshot everything. Every message. Every casual dismissal of my feelings. Every coordinated manipulation. Then I created a folder on my phone. The ring video. The group chat screenshots. 8 months of silence. Finally given a voice. I wasn't going to Grandma's party to make a scene. I wasn't going to yell or cry or beg for an apology I'd never get. I was going to do something much simpler. I was going to tell the truth. And for once, I was going to have proof. If you've ever kept evidence of someone's manipulation, texts, recordings, anything, did you ever use it? Or did you hold on to it, waiting for the right moment? Tell me in the comments. This story's about to get intense, and I want you with me. Saturday came faster than I expected. I spent Friday night laying out my outfit. Nothing dramatic, just a simple navy dress, modest jewelry, comfortable flats. I wasn't going for attention. I was going for presence. Aunt Diane called that afternoon. I'll be at the party. If you need anything, find me. Thank you. Cora? Her voice softened. Whatever happens, remember, you have every right to be there. That's your grandmother, too. I arrived at Grandma's house at exactly 2 o'clock. The Laurelhurst Victorian looked the same as I remembered. White paint, wraparound porch, rose bushes Grandma had planted before I was born. Cars lined the street, more than I'd expected. Through the front window, I could see people milling around. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen in years. At least 30 guests, maybe more. Melanie had wanted an audience. She was about to get one. I walked up the porch steps and rang the bell. Grandma herself opened the door. She looked smaller than I remembered, thinner, but her eyes, those sharp blue eyes that had always seen straight through me, lit up the moment she saw my face. Cora. She pulled me into a hug. My sweet girl, you came. Of course I came, Grandma. I wouldn't miss this. Over her shoulder, I saw Melanie watching from the living room. She had a champagne glass in hand and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mom stood beside her. Dad was by the fireplace, looking uncomfortable. Come in, come in. Grandma took my hand. I have a seat saved for you. She led me through the house, past the curious stares of relatives, past my parents' forced smiles, to a chair beside hers. Not in the corner where Melanie had probably planned to put me, right next to the guest of honor. The message was clear. The party unfolded around me in a blur of small talk and hors d'oeuvres. Cousin Rachel asked about my job. Uncle Marcus complimented my dress. People who hadn't spoken to me in years suddenly found me fascinating. I knew why. In families like ours, absence creates mystery. 8 months of silence meant 8 months of Melanie controlling the narrative, and now everyone wanted to see if the story matched the person. Aunt Diane found me by the buffet table. How are you holding up? Better than expected. I glanced toward Melanie, who was holding court near the piano. She's watching me like a hawk. She's nervous. Diane lowered her voice. I talked to your grandmother yesterday. She's planning to make an announcement today about the house. My heart skipped. What kind of announcement? She wouldn't tell me specifics, but she did say. Diane paused, choosing her words carefully. She said she's been watching, paying attention to who treats her with real love and who just wants something from her. Across the room, Grandma was talking to one of her neighbors, but her eyes kept drifting toward Melanie with an expression I couldn't quite read. Melanie has no idea, I said quietly. She thinks this party is her stage. Melanie thinks everything is her stage. Diane touched my arm. Just be yourself today. That's all you need to do. And if things go sideways, then you have me, and you have the truth. She held my gaze. In this family, that's more than most people ever have. I nodded, feeling the weight of my phone in my cardigan pocket. The Ring video, the screenshots, the truth. I wasn't planning to use them, but if Melanie pushed me, I was ready. Halfway through the party, Melanie made her move. She cornered me near the hallway, away from the crowd. Her smile was sweet, her voice anything but. I'm surprised you actually came. Why? Grandma invited me. Grandma invites everyone. That doesn't mean everyone belongs. I studied my sister's face, the perfect makeup, the carefully styled hair, the designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. You look stressed, Melanie. Her smile flickered. I'm fine. Your phone keeps buzzing, every few minutes, and every time it does, you look like you're about to be sick. You're imagining things. Am I? I tilted my head. Who's Tyler talking to right now? Across the room, Tyler, Melanie's husband, was nursing a drink and talking to one of our cousins. He looked miserable. Dark circles under his eyes. Shoulders hunched like a man carrying weight he couldn't put down. Melanie's composure cracked. Just slightly. Stay away from my husband. I haven't said a word to him. Keep it that way. She started to walk away, then turned back. You think you're so smart, don't you, with your little doorbell camera and your righteous act, but you have no idea what's really going on. Then enlighten me. For a moment, something raw flashed across her face. Fear? Desperation? It was gone before I could name it. Just, don't ruin this, she said quietly. For Grandma's sake. I'm not here to ruin anything, Melanie. I'm here for Grandma. Period. She searched my face for something. A tell, a crack. And found nothing. Fine, she said finally. Just stay out of my way. She walked back to the party, spine straight, smile restored. But I'd seen it now. The cracks beneath the surface. Something was very, very wrong. The backyard was beautiful. String lights wove through the old oak trees. White tablecloths covered long tables set up on the lawn. The caterer had arranged everything just so. Silver chafing dishes, crystal glasses, a 3-tier cake with Happy 75th Eleanor in elegant script. Melanie had planned this party down to the smallest detail. She'd mentioned it in the group chat months ago. I want Grandma's birthday to be perfect. Everyone needs to see what a wonderful family we are, what a wonderful family we appear to be. That was the goal. I found a seat at one of the tables. Aunt Diane sat beside me. Across the yard, I could see Mom circulating, kissing cheeks, accepting compliments on her lovely daughter, who organized everything. Dad stood alone near the fence, nursing a beer. He'd barely spoken to me since I arrived, but I noticed something else. Tyler, sitting at a table near the bar. He was on his 3rd drink in an hour. His conversation with our cousin had ended, and now he was scrolling through his phone with a furrowed brow. I watched as Melanie approached him, leaned down, whispered something sharp. Tyler's face tightened. He shook his head. She whispered again, more forcefully. He stood up abruptly and walked inside. Melanie watched him go, her jaw clenched. Trouble in paradise? Diane murmured. Looks like it. Interesting timing. Before I could respond, a clinking sound cut through the chatter. Everyone turned toward the patio where Grandma stood with the champagne flute in her hand. Thank you all for coming, she said, her voice still strong despite her years. Before we eat, I have a few things I want to say. The backyard went quiet, and Melanie's face went pale. Melanie moved fast. Before Grandma could continue, she stepped forward, champagne glass raised, her brightest smile locked in place. Before you do, Grandma, can I say something? She didn't wait for permission. I just want to welcome everyone, and especially welcome my little sister Cora back into the fold. All eyes shifted to me. Some of you may have noticed Cora's been absent lately. Melanie's voice dripped with false concern. She's been going through a really difficult time. Work stress, some personal issues. We've all been so worried about her. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, sympathetic glances, pitying nods. Mom jumped in, right on cue. It's true, Cora's been struggling. We're just so glad she's feeling well enough to join us today. I felt the shift in the room, the narrative being built, brick by brick. Poor Cora. Fragile Cora. Unstable Cora. They were framing me before I'd even said a word. Thankfully, Melanie continued, family is always here for each other, no matter what. She raised her glass. To Grandma Eleanor, and to family. To family, the crowd echoed. I lifted my glass but didn't drink. Across the yard I caught Grandma's eye. She was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Not pity. Something sharper. Something knowing. Aunt Diane leaned close. You okay? Fine. I kept my voice even, just watching. She's trying to discredit you before you can say anything. I know. Are you going to let her? I thought about the video on my phone, the screenshots, everything I'd kept. Not yet, I said quietly. But she doesn't know that. Melanie was still smiling, basking in the moment. She had no idea what was coming. Neither did anyone else. Dinner was served. I sat beside Grandma as she'd wanted. Melanie was across the table watching my every bite. The food was excellent. Grandma had always had good taste, but I barely tasted it. I was too busy observing. Uncle Marcus believed Melanie's performance completely. He kept asking if I was feeling better, if work was too much. I smiled and said I was fine. Cousin Rachel was skeptical. She kept glancing between me and Melanie with narrowed eyes. She'd always been sharp. Aunt Diane ate calmly, her attorney's poker face giving nothing away. And Grandma? Grandma watched everything. When Melanie excused herself to use the restroom, I felt Grandma's hand on mine. You're being very patient, she said quietly. Excuse me. I saw your face when Melanie gave her little speech. Grandma's eyes were knowing. Most people would have interrupted, defended themselves. Would that have helped? No. She squeezed my hand. It wouldn't have. Then I'll wait. Grandma studied me for a long moment. You've changed, Cora. Not in the way your mother claims. You've grown roots. I wasn't sure what to say to that. I have something to discuss with the family after dinner, she continued. Something important. When I do, I want you to listen, really listen. Of course, Grandma. And whatever happens, she leaned closer. Know that I see things, more than people think I do. Melanie returned to the table, her composure restored. Grandma released my hand and returned to her meal as if nothing had happened. But her words stayed with me. I see things. What exactly had she seen? And what was she planning to do about it? After dinner, I excused myself to find the restroom. On my way back, I passed the open kitchen window. Tyler was outside, leaning against the fence, phone pressed to his ear. His voice carried clearly through the screen. I told you I can't get more time. The collectors don't care about... He paused, listening. $50,000, man. By the end of the month. She swore she'd have it by now. $50,000. I froze. Yeah, the gambling thing. Online poker, sports betting, all of it. I didn't know until... Another pause. She said her grandmother would... No, it hasn't happened yet. That's the whole point of this party. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding. If Eleanor doesn't come through, I don't know what we're going to do. Mel's already burned through her sister. That's why Cora cut her off. And now, his voice cracked. I'm done, Marcus. I can't do this anymore. I'm filing for divorce next week. He hung up. I heard him take a shaky breath, then footsteps heading toward the side of the house, away from me. I stood there, processing. $50,000 in gambling debt. That's why Melanie took the $12,000 from Grandma's medical fund. That's why she needed me at this party, to present a united family to Grandma before the inheritance announcement. That's why she'd rehearsed the apology. Why she looked so desperate. Why Tyler looked so broken. The picture was finally complete. Melanie wasn't just manipulating me. She was drowning. And she'd been using everyone around her as life rafts while she pulled them under. I walked back to the party, my mind made up. I wasn't going to expose Melanie, but if she pushed me, I wouldn't protect her either. The sun had begun to set when Grandma stood up again. The string lights glowed brighter against the dimming sky. Conversations faded. 30 pairs of eyes turned toward the woman at the head of the table. Thank you for indulging an old woman, Grandma began, her voice cutting clear through the evening air. 75 years is a long time, long enough to learn a few things. She paused, scanning the faces around her. I've been thinking a lot about this house. About what happens to it when I'm gone. Melanie straightened in her chair. Mom leaned forward. Even Dad looked up from his drink. But before I talk about the future, Grandma continued, I want to talk about the past. About how we've treated each other in this family. My heart began to race. I've watched things over the years, things I didn't always speak up about. Favoritism, unkindness, taking advantage of those who are too kind to say no. Her gaze drifted to me, just for a second. I'm not proud of staying silent, but I'm too old now to keep pretending I don't see what I see. Melanie's smile had become fixed, frozen. A mask she couldn't adjust quickly enough. Grandma, she cut in, her voice tight with forced warmth. This is your birthday. We should be celebrating. I am celebrating. Grandma's voice was quiet but firm. I'm celebrating the truth. For once. The backyard was dead silent. Grandma turned to look directly at me. Cora, sweetheart, I need to ask you something, in front of everyone. I felt the weight of every stare. Yes, Grandma? Why haven't you spoken to your parents in 8 months? The question hung in the air like smoke. And I knew this was the moment. I could feel Melanie's panic from across the table. Grandma, this isn't appropriate, she started. I didn't ask you, Melanie. Grandma's voice was steel wrapped in silk. I asked Cora. 30 people. Watching. Waiting. I took a breath. I stopped talking to them because of the savings account, Grandma. The one I set up to help with your medical expenses. Whispers rippled through the crowd. I contributed every month for 2 years. $500, 12,000 total. I kept my voice steady. When I checked the balance 8 months ago, almost everything was gone. Grandma nodded slowly. And what happened to the money? Melanie took it. She said it was an investment opportunity. I looked at my sister. When I confronted her, Mom and Dad accused me of trying to embarrass the family. They told me I was being selfish. So I left. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom found her voice first. Cora, this isn't the time or place. Linda. Grandma's single word stopped her cold. But she's twisting everything. Is she? Grandma turned to Melanie. Did you take the money? Melanie's composure finally cracked. Tears, real ones this time, welled in her eyes. Grandma, you don't understand. I was trying to grow the money, for your benefit. Cora's exaggerating. She always does. $12,000. Yes or no? Melanie's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I was going to pay it back. A collective gasp went through the crowd. Grandma closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were wet, but her voice was steady. Thank you for your honesty, Cora. She turned to face the entire gathering. And now you all know why I've reconsidered some things. Melanie's face went white. What things, Grandma? Grandma didn't answer. She didn't have to. Melanie pivoted fast. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Her voice shook, performing perfectly. Cora came here to sabotage me, to turn everyone against me. Melanie, Mom tried. No, Mom, everyone needs to hear this. Melanie stood, addressing the crowd directly. My sister has always been jealous of me. Always. And when I made one mistake, one financial decision that didn't work out, she cut me off, abandoned the family, and now she's here, on Grandma's special day, trying to destroy everything. Some of the older relatives shifted uncomfortably. They wanted to believe her. It was easier than accepting the alternative. I'm not trying to destroy anything, I said calmly. I just answered Grandma's question. With lies! Is it a lie that you took the money? I told you, I was going to pay it back. With what, Melanie? The question landed like a punch. She had no answer. Because we both knew the truth. There was no money. There never had been. Tyler suddenly stood up from his chair. Everyone turned. His face was red. From alcohol, from shame, from something that had been building for too long. Tell them, he said quietly. Melanie went rigid. Tyler, sit down. Tell them, Mel, or I will. Tyler, $50,000. His voice cracked. That's how much she owes. Gambling debts, online betting. She's been lying to all of you for years. The backyard erupted. Gasps, whispers. Someone dropped a glass. Melanie turned on her husband, her mask completely shattered. How dare you? I'm done protecting you. I'm done lying. He looked at the crowd, at Grandma, at me, at everyone who had believed Melanie's performance. I'm sorry, he said. I should have said something sooner. Then he walked away, leaving Melanie standing alone. The chaos gave Melanie her opening. This is a setup. Her voice rose above the murmurs. All of this, Cora planned it. She manipulated Tyler. She's manipulating everyone. Melanie, stop, Dad said weakly. No. You all know Cora. Sweet, innocent, helpful Cora. But she's not what she pretends to be. Melanie pointed at me, her finger trembling. She recorded our private conversation, at her apartment, without permission. What kind of person does that? Eyes turned back to me. She's been collecting evidence against her own family, planning this ambush. She's sick. She needs help, not an audience. The narrative was shifting. I could feel it. Some people were buying it. I looked at Aunt Diane. She gave me an almost imperceptible nod. You want to talk about what I recorded? I pulled out my phone. Fine, let's talk about it. Cora, don't you dare! I turned my screen toward the table and pressed play. Melanie's voice filled the backyard. Mom, practice the tears again. More natural. Let them fall. Then Mom. Like this? Then Dad reciting, We miss you, sweetheart. And Melanie clear as day. Remember, the goal is to get her to Grandma's birthday. We don't actually have to mean it. We just need her to think we're sorry. The video ended. No one moved. Grandma's face was unreadable. Mom had gone ghost white. Dad was staring at the ground like he wished it would swallow him. Melanie's voice came out strangled. That's edited. She edited it. Ring camera footage has embedded metadata. Aunt Diane's voice cut through like a blade. Timestamps, location data. It's virtually impossible to alter without leaving traces. I'm a lawyer. I know. Melanie had nothing left. No tears, no excuses, no performance good enough to explain away her own words. The mask was gone. Have you ever held on to evidence of someone's manipulation, waiting for the exact right moment to use it? Was it the right call? Or did it change you in ways you didn't expect? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. We're almost at the end now. The fallout is about to begin. Grandma Eleanor rose slowly from her chair. The backyard had gone silent. Even the night birds seemed to be holding their breath. I've heard enough. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Melanie. She turned to face her older granddaughter. I love you. I've loved you since the day you were born. That will never change. Melanie's lip trembled. Grandma. But I cannot trust you. The words were gentle and devastating. And I cannot reward behavior that hurts the people I love. She turned to my parents next. Linda, Robert, you raised both of my granddaughters. And somewhere along the way, you taught one that lying was acceptable. And you taught the other that her feelings didn't matter. Mom opened her mouth to protest. Don't. Grandma's raised hand silenced her. I've watched this family for years. I saw what you did to Cora. The loans that were never repaid, the sacrifices that were never acknowledged, the blame she received for simply asking to be treated fairly. Dad's shoulders slumped. I'm 75 years old, Grandma continued. I don't have time for pretense anymore. So here's what's going to happen. She looked around at the assembled relatives. I'm meeting with my attorney next week to update my estate documents. The specifics are my business, but I want everyone here to understand something. Her eyes found mine. Those who've shown me real love, not performances, not obligations, but real love will be taken care of. Then she looked at Melanie. And those who haven't will have to live with the consequences. Grandma sat back down, picked up her water glass, took a sip. The party, for all practical purposes, was over. But my grandmother wasn't finished yet. People began drifting away, some to the bar, some to the parking lot, some into the house to escape the tension. I stayed where I was. Mom approached me first. Her face was a mask of barely contained fury disguised as hurt. I hope you're satisfied. I'm not here to be satisfied, Mom. I'm here because Grandma asked me to come. You humiliated your sister in front of the entire family. I looked at her, really looked at her. Melanie humiliated herself. I just stopped covering for her. You could have handled this privately. I tried that 8 months ago. You called me selfish and sided with her. Mom's mouth tightened. She had no response. I stood up. I love you, Mom. I love Dad, too. But I can't have a relationship with people who don't respect me. So what? You're cutting us off again? No. The door isn't closed. I kept my voice calm, level. But if you want to walk through it, you'll have to do it honestly. No scripts, no performances, just the truth. Dad had been hovering nearby, listening. His eyes were red. Dad, I said softly. I meant what I said. I'm here when you're ready to talk, really talk. He nodded once, quickly, then looked away. I walked over to Grandma and knelt beside her chair. She took my hand. Thank you, I said, for asking, for listening. Oh, thank you for telling the truth. She squeezed my fingers. It takes courage to be honest in a family that prefers comfortable lies. I hugged her, longer than usual, tighter than usual. Happy birthday, Grandma. Best gift I've received in years. Her eyes sparkled with tears. Having you back. I wasn't back. Not really. But I wasn't gone either. I found Melanie by the rose bushes. She was standing alone, mascara smeared, champagne glass empty. The party continued around her, but no one approached. People who had praised her organizing skills an hour ago now gave her a wide berth. I didn't plan to talk to her, but she saw me passing and spoke first. Happy now? I stopped. No, not happy. Could have fooled me, her laugh was bitter. You got everything you wanted. What I wanted was for you to return $12,000 meant for Grandma's medical care. God, you're still on that? You asked what I wanted, that's my answer. She stared at me. The mask was completely gone now, just exhaustion and something that might have been fear underneath. I'm going to lose everything, she said quietly. Tyler's leaving. The debt collectors are circling, and now, Grandma, I know about the gambling. She flinched. I heard Tyler on the phone. For a moment, she looked like she might cry. Real tears this time. I didn't mean for it to get this bad. Her voice cracked. It started small. A few bets. Then I couldn't stop. And I kept thinking, if I could just win big once. But you didn't. No, I didn't. We stood there, sisters separated by a lifetime of choices. Get help, Melanie. Real help. Not a scheme. Not another lie. Like anyone's going to help me now. Gamblers Anonymous. Therapy. Something. You're not going to con your way out of this one. She didn't respond. I left her there among the roses. As I walked back toward the house, I heard raised voices, Tyler and Melanie, arguing near the cars. I told you I was done. You can't just leave me. I didn't look back. Some wreckage isn't yours to salvage. 1 week later, the dust was still settling. My phone had been busy, texts from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, Aunt Patricia apologizing for believing Melanie's version. Cousin Rachel saying she'd always sensed something was off. Uncle Marcus admitting he'd been wrong to pity me. Everyone had an opinion now that the truth was out. Aunt Diane kept me updated on the broader fallout. Tyler filed for divorce 3 days after the party. He'd been documenting Melanie's gambling for months, apparently, building a case. He sent me a message through Diane. I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. I was ashamed. I understood shame. It makes cowards of people who might otherwise be brave. Melanie unfriended half the family on social media. The other half unfriended her. Her real estate website went dark. Whether she'd lost her license or simply couldn't face the world, no one knew. Mom called me once, just once. I don't know what you want me to say, Cora. Neither do I, Mom. A long pause. I need time to process all of this. So do I. She hung up without saying goodbye. But she hadn't yelled, hadn't blamed me. Maybe that was progress. Maybe it was just exhaustion. Dad sent an email, 3 sentences. Cora, I love you. I'm sorry. When you're ready, I'll be here. I stared at those words for a long time, 27 years of silence, and suddenly, 3 sentences. It wasn't enough, but it was something. I saved the email, didn't respond, not yet. Some doors need to stay open, even if you're not ready to walk through them. And some doors need to stay closed until the people on the other side prove they've changed. I was learning to tell the difference. Sunday afternoon, Grandma's house, just the 2 of us. We sat in her garden, the same rose bushes blooming in the October sun. She'd made tea, Earl Grey, my favorite, and set out shortbread cookies on her mother's china. You look rested, she said. First time in years, honestly. She nodded, understanding more than I'd said. I met with my lawyer on Tuesday, she mentioned casually, sipping her tea. Grandma, you don't have to. I'm not telling you what I decided. That's my business. Her eyes twinkled. I'm just telling you that I decided. I laughed despite myself. Fair enough. But I want you to know something, Cora. She set down her cup. You didn't do this for the house. I know that. Of course not. Some people would have. Some people did, not naming names. She smiled wryly. But you came to my birthday because I asked you to. You told the truth because I asked you to. And you would have done both those things even if I had nothing to leave anyone. I felt tears prick at my eyes. You're the only person in this family who's never asked me for anything. Grandma reached across and took my hand. Do you know how rare that is? How precious? I just wanted to spend time with you. I know, sweetheart, that's exactly my point. We sat in comfortable silence watching the bees drift between the roses. Come for dinner next Sunday, she said finally. And the Sunday after, and every Sunday you can manage. I'd like that. Good. Because I'm 75 and I plan to spend whatever time I have left with people who love me, for me. She squeezed my fingers. Not for what I can give them. Deal. For the first time in years, I felt like I had a family. A small one, but real. The text came 2 weeks after the party. Melanie's name on my screen. I'd unblocked her number, not out of forgiveness, but curiosity. "Are you happy now? You ruined my life." I stared at the message for a long time. Then another came. "Tyler left. Did you know that?" "Of course you knew. You probably helped him." I didn't respond. Grandma won't return my calls. Mom and Dad are barely speaking to me. Everyone in the family looks at me like I'm a criminal. Still nothing from me. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Poor little Cora, always the victim. Now everyone feels sorry for you. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to respond, to defend myself, to explain, to try one more time to reach the sister I'd once loved. But I knew better now. Nothing I said would change anything. Melanie wasn't texting to reconcile. She was texting to unload her guilt onto me, to make me the villain in her story, so she wouldn't have to be. One more message appeared. "The house should have been mine. I'm the oldest. I've done everything for this family. And you come in with your little video and take it all away." There it was. The house, the inheritance, the thing she'd been worried about all along. She still thought this was about money. She still didn't understand. I blocked her number again, set my phone down, looked out the window at the rain streaking down the glass. My sister was drowning in a hole she'd dug herself, and she wanted me to jump in after her. Not this time. Not anymore. Some people you can't save. Some people don't want to be saved. They just want company in the wreckage. That night, I sat in my apartment with a cup of tea and the silence I'd earned. The fiddle leaf fig was thriving. 3 new leaves since I'd gone no contact. I liked to think it had sensed the change in me, the weight lifting, the air clearing. I thought about everything that had happened. The video, the party, the reveal. Some people would call what I did revenge, but it didn't feel like revenge. It felt like exhaling, like finally being allowed to tell my side of the story. For years, I'd swallowed my hurt to keep the peace. I'd believed that loving someone meant enduring whatever they did to you, that family was a word that erased all accountability. I was wrong. Love isn't silent suffering, it's honesty. It's respect. It's choosing each other, not out of obligation, but because you genuinely want to. Melanie never chose me. She used me, and my parents let her. That wasn't love. That was convenience. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who flinched at the word selfish, the one who gave and gave and gave until there was nothing left. She's still part of me, probably always will be, but she's not in charge anymore. I am, and this version of me, the one who says no, who keeps receipts, who refuses to be a doormat, she's the one I'm learning to love. Not because she's perfect, not because she got revenge, because she finally stopped abandoning herself for people who didn't deserve her loyalty. Outside, the Portland rain continued to fall, soft, steady, cleansing. I finished my tea and went to bed. Tomorrow I had work, and Sunday I had dinner with Grandma. That was enough. For the first time in my life, that was more than enough. 1 month later, life had found a new rhythm. Work at the hospital, dinners with Grandma every Sunday, walks through the Alberta Arts District on my days off. Therapy every other Thursday, something I'd finally started, after years of telling myself I was fine. I wasn't fine. Not completely. Maybe no one ever is. But I was learning, growing, healing. Grandma and I had fallen into an easy routine. Tea in her garden, stories about her childhood, questions about my life that she actually listened to the answers of. She never told me what was in the updated will, and I never asked. It wasn't about that. It never had been. Dad emailed me again last week, longer this time. "I've been thinking about what you said, about honesty. I don't know if I'm ready to have that conversation yet, but I want you to know I'm trying. I joined a support group for parents who've damaged relationships with their adult children. I'm learning things I wish I'd understood years ago. I love you. Dad, I cried when I read it. Then I wrote back. That means more than you know. I love you too. I'm here when you're ready. Mom hasn't reached out again. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. I've made peace with both possibilities. And Melanie? Last I heard, she'd enrolled in Gamblers Anonymous. Tyler told Aunt Diane during the divorce proceedings. He wanted me to know. I hope it helps. I genuinely do. But she's not my responsibility anymore. My responsibility is to myself, to the life I'm building, to the boundaries I'm learning to hold. The door isn't locked, but it's not wide open either. It's exactly where it needs to be. And so am I. After everything settled, I spent a lot of nights thinking about one question. Why? Not, why did they do this to me? That's a victim's question, and I was done being a victim. I meant, why does this happen? Why do families like mine exist? Here's what I figured out. My sister isn't evil. I know that's hard to believe given everything I've told you. But Melanie didn't wake up one day and decide to become a manipulator. She grew up being told she was special, the golden child, the one who would succeed. And when reality didn't match those expectations, when her business struggled, when the gambling spiraled, when her marriage cracked, she didn't have the tools to cope. So she performed, because that's all she knew. Psychologists call it narcissistic adaptation. When your entire sense of worth depends on looking successful, you'll do anything to maintain that image, even if it means using the people who love you. I'm not excusing her. Understanding someone isn't the same as forgiving them. But understanding helps me stop waiting for an apology that will never come. And my parents? They weren't monsters either. They were scared. Mom was terrified of conflict, of being judged by the extended family, of facing the truth about her perfect daughter. Dad was terrified of everything. Easier to go along with Mom. Easier to stay quiet. Easier to let someone else take the fall. Fear makes people small. It makes them choose comfort over justice. I get it. I was scared too, once. Scared of being called selfish, of being the difficult one, of losing the family I thought I needed. Here's what I've learned. Some fears are worth facing, and some family is only worth what it costs you to keep. If any of this sounds familiar, if you're the easy one in your family, the peacekeeper, the one who always understands, I want you to know something. Being kind is beautiful, but kindness without boundaries is just self-abandonment dressed up as virtue. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to keep receipts. You're allowed to love people and protect yourself from them. These things aren't contradictions. They're survival. And if someone calls you selfish for refusing to be used, that tells you everything you need to know about what they were getting from you. Trust that feeling in your gut. I finally did. And it saved my life. If you've ever had to set boundaries with the people who raised you, you know it's one of the hardest things a person can do. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you finally learned to love yourself too. Have you been in a situation like mine? Have you held on to evidence, drawn a line, walked away from people who didn't deserve your loyalty? Tell me in the comments. Your story matters, and you might help someone else find the courage to tell theirs. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And if you want more stories like this, about family, boundaries, and finding your way through the mess, check the description. I've linked a few that I think you'll connect with. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you for believing me.